All right, last segment here. We're here with Miller Thomas. He's right over there.
Hello.
He's the young one. I'm Sully. I'm the good-looking one.
I was going to say the handsome one.
That's right. I'm so
it.
damn handsome. I'm so damn handsome. I hear. Let me just tell you what I think. I hear a lot of people complain about. You hear there are three camps of complaining that I've heard this offseason. The Mets are spending too much. The small market teams are not spending enough, or even big market teams like Boston. And teams like the Braves get players for a relative steal to sign long term. In other words, you can't do anything right. Spend too much, spend too little, spend just enough. Someone's going to complain. I have said I want to remove the stigma of buying a championship. Buy them. You're a billionaire. You're doing a game we all wish we can play, and that is play with baseball cards, except have them be real baseball players. You're not doing a fantasy league. You're in a reality league. You get to put together your team and try to put the best team out there, and you've got billions of dollars. Isn't that the whole point? The whole point is to do that. It isn't an investment. You don't see Warren Buffett investing in baseball teams. You're doing it because you got a lot of money, you've got a big ego, and you want to be the king of that city. That's why teams get bought, even if they are the supposed small market teams, because you want to have that fun thing. This has been the case forever. The notion of a small revenue team, I'm not buying it. And by the way, whenever baseball owners have been asked to open their books to show how they're losing money, those books have remained shut because they're all making money. And if a franchise like the San Diego Padres can suddenly become a large market team, then maybe we shouldn't be wringing our hands how a giant metropolis like Minneapolis is like, oh, we're just a small market team with a gigantic region and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't believe, as I said before, I don't believe in creating artificial limits to what a player can make or what a player can sign for, because we don't have similar limits to franchises. There's no limits to what a team can sell their team for, what their owner can sell their team for, or what they can do there. So why the hell should a player have to do that? And I think the best way to make those limits is to show that maybe signing 12-year deals isn't the smartest thing. Act like the Braves. And don't worry, this is not a filibuster. I will yield my time. But I want to lay this out here.
I'm in awe.
I think I've never believed in a salary cap, ever. I think it's, we don't see that salary caps in other leagues make for more teams winning titles. Just as many teams play in the World Series. In fact, many more teams play in the World Series than play in the Super Bowl. And you've seen since 2010, half of Major League Baseball teams have played in at least one World Series, and none of those teams are called the Yankees. So we've seen a tremendous amount of, teams can have windows of championships in ways that we've never seen in football, or especially not in basketball, where seems like the same team, over and over and over again. But that being said, if the people who are adamant to have a ceiling and to have limits and things like that at the top have to also agree there has to be a bottom. There has to be an entry fee. There has to be, it's kind of like I can't go up to the big dealer table in Vegas and say, all right, you're the high rollers. Well, I've got $5.22. Can I play? No, you've got to, there has to be a salary floor. You can't have a disgrace that we've seen where, like Cleveland putting out a team that could win the pennant with a bottom 5 payroll is a disgrace. Year in and year out, the same teams at the bottom of the payroll. You know what? There should be, there has to be a penalty for that too, for not investing in your team, for putting a minor league product out there. And if you collect any money from the, what's it called? The luxury tax, that money has to go to your major league roster. That's money taxed from another team's major league roster has to go into your major league roster. And you have to show how you spent that on your major league roster. Not, oh, we spent it on this international thing or something like that. No, you have to show that you're using that to improve your team, that's on the field to make an entertaining product. So you don't have a tomato can. So you don't have a minor league team playing in the major leagues.
Wow.
I yield my time.
He yielded his time. Yes, let me first say, I don't think the issue is the Mets spending money. I don't think teams spending money in the offseason and going after stellar players is ever the problem. We want to see the New York Mets spend all this money on free agents. I don't care if they spend $1 billion this offseason. I want to see the San Diego Padres with that threesome that they already have in their lineup add a Xander Bogaerts to it, okay? I want to see the Yankees, evil empire, go out there and sign a Carlos Rodon to a fat franchise. I want to see stars team up and make super teams. But you know what I want even more than that? Because guess what? The salary cap is not going to help anybody. Though those teams that like to spend money in the offseason, they're still going to spend money in the offseason. They're still going to get the best players. The issue that I have with the MLB offseason is teams that don't spend money, is the D-backs who've only signed a Miguel Castro this offseason, is the Miami Marlins, who we feel like have a great rotation, may not even be that far from competing, and have yet to sign a free agent this offseason. I don't think a salary cap will do anything for baseball, but there definitely needs to be some sort of floor. We need to make these teams spend money and get competitive. Now, I know you hate the term limits on contracts, but I think these teams these quote unquote small market teams would be more likely to spend money if it was a 5-year deal versus a 10-year deal. But I do want to dispel the myth that there are small market teams in Major League Baseball, because I've discussed this on the pod before. There are no small market teams. There are only cheap owners. If every team had a Stephen Cohen as their owner, every team in Major League Baseball would be spending money. When Ken Kendrick bought the D-backs, they were worth around $300 to $400 million. Now, if he sells the D-backs, they're worth over $1 billion. He tripled his money in his investment in the D-backs. These MLB franchises are worth so much money. If you can't afford to put a competitive product on the field, if you can't afford to spend money in the offseason, you should sell your major league team. There are plenty of billionaires out there who are willing to come in and spend money in the offseason. Sully Baseball is willing to drop $2 billion on the Arizona Diamondbacks to come in and have a $300 million payroll. No more excuses for small market teams. Owners, get your money up, make more investments in the stock market to make more money, or sell your major league team for $2 billion, because there will be someone out there willing to come in and match the Stephen Cohens of the world.
See this?
What's
my
that?
Super Lotto. My Super Lotto tickets.
All right.
These come through. I'm going to become majority owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you probably still need a little group. Probably still need a couple more people. I don't know what the Powerball is sitting at today.
Yeah, well, get
all right.
We'll get H-Town Wheelhouse and Javier Reyes and get Stacy Gutsulias. We'll just turn it into the Locked On. We'll buy the team. We'll be the official, and we'll change the stadium to Locked On Stadium.
Oh, okay. Locked On ownership group. Then we get the little Locked On Stadium. All right, I'm into this.
Is there a hotel attached to the park in Phoenix?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. I thought maybe I could live at the ballpark.
There's a parking garage. You could live in your car.
Yeah, after I've spent all the money on the team, I should probably probably living in my car. My car's paid for. All right. Well, look, we do agree on that. And one of the other teams that I thought was going to be spenders was this offseason was going to be Baltimore. Well, Baltimore finally put together a winning team. They have a nice little core of players that they could build upon. But there was a little bit of ill will, of course, when they trade away Lopez and they trade away Mancini instead of improving the team at the deadline, that they traded away players. I thought that they'd be able to quell some of that and say, hey, look, we still had a winning season. We got a few young players back for them. And now we signed a couple of veterans and we're going to make a run at it. And they did nothing of the sort.
No.
And they have the money to do it. And they have the ability to do it. And they have the reason to do it. Signing one or two players, not even talking about bringing in Judge or bringing in Xander Bogaerts or Correa or Rodon or someone like that. Just a couple of decent players coming into there to send a message to the fans that, okay, you're going to fund this summer. We're going a long way to selling some tickets and selling some, Orioles memorabilia for Christmas time. You got to be able to have an entry fee. You got to be able to say, here's what it is. And I love what the Premier League, the soccer Premier League has in England. that the bottom teams
Regulation.
go to the minor leagues, and the top teams of the minor league come to the majors. And I would love to be able to say, God, we better start winning some games. Other words, we're going to be, Baltimore's going to be a minor league city, and like Syracuse or Worcester or Edmonton will be a major league city. And, I love that. Give the incentive. Give an incentive at the end of the year to not be a bad team.
Yeah, I'm shocked that the Orioles really haven't made any moves. Maybe I'm not too shocked because I feel like the Orioles are kind of like the American League version of the D-backs. I feel like both of these teams are like, we're not going to spend a bag this offseason. We're not going to go out there and sign any mega free agents. But it's like, why not at least add some veterans to round out our rosters? Why not at least spend a few smeckles? Like the Orioles were pretty much like in the wild card race until like the final 3 weeks of the season. And like after the trade deadline, they're like, you know what? We really don't want to make the playoffs anyway. We're okay. Just sitting on the back burner for another year. So I don't know why they didn't want to go more all in on this offseason. I feel like they probably know they're not like a World Series contender, but there were some moves, some ancillary moves you could have made on the outside to at least improve your team and get yourself into the fringe wildcard contention once again. But I guess the Orioles didn't want to do that. They're doing it like the D-backs. They want to slow marinate this thing. I've said that word at least one time on every podcast we've done the last month. And so I think they just want to let this thing grow organically and just wait. And then maybe they're just a team waiting in the wings. And then there's a free agent that comes available on the market. Maybe they're looking at the Boston Red Sox, looking at Devers, and they're just waiting in the wings to go after a young star player like that. Maybe they don't want to go out there and spend money on a 30-year-old free agent in the offseason. Maybe they would rather trade for a young star like Rafael Devers. So I don't know exactly what Baltimore's plan is here, but they showed a lot last year, and they might not be too far away from contending if they add some quality pieces to that roster.
Well, look at quality piece to the Locked On podcast roster will always be this guy right here, Millard Thomas. Doing something different with your hair today.
Oh yeah, got in some braids. Mama
some braids in there. Okay, I almost didn't recognize you. How big can you get it?
It gets pretty big. I got like a mohawk right now, so it gets to about, if you go on Locked On Diamondbacks, Locked On MLB right now, you can see me doing some fake gestures with my hands, but it gets about yay high, I want to say.
Yeah, I tried at one point. I tried to grow my hair long, and my hair grows up, and it was not a good look.
But you could get a cornrow too. It could be the Locked On Cornrows brothers, Sully, the Marley brothers.
I've heard of worse ideas.
Okay,
not many, but I have. Hey, I tell people where they can listen to your show.
Hey, follow me at Locked On Diamondbacks on all your podcasting platforms. Follow me on Twitter for my personal account at CreatorThomas24, or look up Locked On Diamondbacks both Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle, and of course look up Locked On Diamondbacks on YouTube as well.
And you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Sully Baseball Podcast, and please subscribe to us on YouTube. And we apparently had 700,000 downloads in 2022. I have no idea if that's a lot. I don't know if that's good or not, but that does mean more than my mom is listening to the show. I have more people than my mom listening to the show. So hey, next year we've cleared 700,000 downloads for 2022. I got a goal. 2023, $700 million.
Whoa.
Ambitious? Yes. Insane? Yes. Probably impossible? Probably. Do I understand how downloads work? Not at all. But thank you for listening to us. And, I'm going to still have a few episodes up here. We have on New Year's Eve, I have a very special Locked On MLB New Year's Eve episode with H-Town Wheelhouse of Locked On Astros, a man who does not want 2022 to end.
I like that.
So we do that. And then on New Year's Day, January 1st, at the stroke of midnight on the West Coast, when you're done celebrating, turn on Locked On MLB. We'll be breaking down the updated version of the Suffering Index, and we'll see which franchises are suffering the most and in the most need for winning a title, and which fan base is suffering the least. I have found ways to quantify suffering, and I've been doing so for the last few years. So on behalf of Millard Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks, My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. I am the host of Locked On MLB. Thank you for listening, and let's fist pump ourselves. Goodbye.